Hi, and welcome to another episode where I take vintage drive-in speakers, clean them up, fix the internals, give them a good rewiring, maybe a paint job, and make them sound and look fantastic once more. On the table today is a nice little piece. This is a Simplex Junior Tombstone model speaker. It's much smaller than an average drive-in speaker, and what's interesting is the potentiometer knob is pointing straight down, which usually they're out front like this. These were lighter and easier to store on your window when you were watching the movie. Now, this unit came from a seller on eBay, and she told me that her father used to operate the Admiral Twin Drive-In in Tulsa, Oklahoma, where this speaker came from. So that's kind of nice. What's not nice is I took a moment to try to open this thing. I want to show you something. The back of the unit, I was able to get two screws out, here and here, but look here, this screw head snapped off, this screw head snapped off, and I actually had to use a little bit of hammer and chisel to pop this open because it was stuck. But let's open this up and see what's inside. And oh boy. Guys, what do you think? You know what I think? Somewhere along the line, this thing was involved in a fire. Because this speaker is roasted. It is absolutely unusable. Potentiometer knob. Oh yeah. That one's pretty much baked to a crisp. Back of the unit. I mean, the wire's no good either. So we're looking at a full restoration on this. And I have an idea of something I really want to try with this. Stick around, let's have some fun. So this is what's left of the chassis. I mean, it can be cleaned. Get a little bit of that dirt and gunk out of it. That's going to definitely need a good cleaning. Here's the internals. The grill, maybe I can scrub it clean, but that's about all I can save. This is what's left of the potentiometer, and I'm serious. This thing looks like it went through a barbecue. I saved the hex nut. That was all I could save from this, and I'll use the hex nut whenever I have a potentiometer that doesn't have a hex nut. You imagine what kind of movie was playing with this thing? Maybe The Towering Inferno. Maybe, yeah, that's probably the best choice, The Towering Inferno. Yeah, this is wrecked. Absolutely useless. So we're going to need new speaker, new potentiometer, probably a good cleaning on the grill, new speaker wire, and we got to clean this up. In fact, I need to show you this. I had trouble getting out all the screws. I think the fire roasted them in there. In fact, all I have left here is the stump from this one. And so I'm just going to be resigned to using that as a post to lock the other three screws in when I reassemble this. But I'll tell you right now, let's get to cleaning. I just took these out of a cleansing solution and hot water, just to get as much of the dirt and grime and soot and grease and whatnot off of the chassis. And as an added bonus, I also tried to wash as much of the grill as I could. Now, I know this thing looks 5 levels of terrible, but I have a plan for this too. Just like I have a plan for the chassis. Okay, let's give this chassis a good little blast of this Car Rep Epoxy Primer. I've had really good success with this, especially when it comes to bonding to aluminum. I had previously used self-etching primer that I could get at the auto parts store or at the paint shop, but this stuff really has impressed me. So in addition to putting epoxy primer on the inside and outside of the chassis, I'm actually going to put it on the screen as well, just to give it a little bit of protection and to get rid of all that discoloration and other gunkola. So we've already primed these, and they look a lot better now that they've gotten the black epoxy primer on them. So now let's add some color, and I purchased this from the spraysource.com. This is another color shifting spray. This is Raven Super Color Shift, and I'm really curious to see how this is going to look. We're going to put a light coat on first, and then a couple of heavy coats, and then we'll just let them cure and see how it turns out. Look what we have here. Sprayed inside and out. This almost looks like carbon fiber now that it's all been primed. I like this. I think I might do this going forward with other painting projects. Guys, you got to see this. The color shift with this Raven coat from the spraysource.com. Look at it. It changes from green to purple, and this is on a cloudy day. This doesn't involve any sunshine. Look at that. That is just stunning. Well, I need to protect this finish, so we're going to go to the third step of our 3-spray cocktail, and this is Car Reps 2K Clear Coat. I'm going to put a short tacky coat on first, and then 2 heavy coats 10 minutes apart. And I think we'll be good to go. At least for the chassis, anyway. Guys, a couple things I wanted to show you that I thought was really cool about this little tiny unit. Look on the back here. There's actually a patent number. 1,955,800. And that patent is for the sound reproduction equipment that's inside this chassis. It involves the speaker and the potentiometer and how they're arranged. It's kind of cool to see that. The other thing I want to show you is, take a look here. This is the hole. The speaker would come through here. The wire would come through here. Sometimes they can come through here, but this unit is more designed for your speaker wire to come through that hole so they can hang on the junction box and all that. Now, I have good news and bad news. The bad news is the wire that I normally use, which is this stuff. This is 14.2 AWG, rated for outdoors, and that won't fit. Now I have a couple of options. I could strip the wire down to just the bare cords, but I thought an easier and more efficient way would be just get a smaller wire, which is what I did. This is an 18.2 AWG, and it fits into the hole nice and easy. And that's going to be even better because I now have 2 different types of wire at my disposal, depending on what I need and the size of the hole for our drive-in speaker. It's always nice to have options. So while I was working on this, I came up with a new idea on connecting everything. Normally, I would solder these connections, and the soldering wouldn't be that great. And so until I really improve my soldering technique, I'm going to try something different. What I've added here to the back of this speaker are these connectors, and I've heat shrink taped them. The potentiometer, the wires are threaded into the holes of the potentiometer like it would be here, and then I heat shrink tape those. And then also, I heat shrink tape the spade connectors that go to hook up your unit if you want to hook it up to a Bluetooth amplifier like this one. Now, for anyone who's curious, I know people have asked me about this. This is a Fosi Audio T20 tube amplifier with these beautiful vacuum tubes on top. And it gives me a much richer sound, and I really like it. So now comes the test. I've got everything wired up. All I need to do is turn this on and play one of my old YouTube videos so that I don't actually get a strike on myself when I post this on YouTube. So here we go. Ending paper. I polished Mag and aluminum polish. It's quite recommended. They didn't sponsor me. I didn't ask for any money, but it's a good product. And I looks like everything works. Let me just turn this off. And since I've got everything connected and it sounds decent, let's put everything back in the chassis. All right, how about we start putting this thing back together? Here's the speaker grill, and you want the bend of the speaker to face out. And this little notch down here goes on the bottom. There we go. We're going to thread our speaker and our potentiometer into the proper sections. This is actually a 3.5-inch speaker. It's a little smaller than what a standard drive-in speaker takes, which is 4 inches. I tried to test drive a 4-inch speaker through here and it would not go. Put this little collar, this little washer on potentiometer post. I'm going to thread this in and feed the speaker in. Very carefully. And turn this right side up, or at least on its nose. We want to get this in there. This little hex nut to hold everything together. Actually, I always... There we go. Come on. Took a couple of minutes to get these threaded through, but I needed to make sure that was taken care of. And then we just feed this all the way through. There we go. And just for an added benefit, I don't know if you can see this, I put this little rubber stopper so that if somebody does try to yank on the cord, it'll actually give a little bit of resistance so that it doesn't pull out all the wires. Come on, rotate. There we go. Just going to thread those right up in there. And now we put in the final screws. As I mentioned before, or I might have, this actually came from a drive-in in Tulsa, Oklahoma called the Admiral Twin. And from my understanding, the Admiral Twin is actually still operational. It's 75 years old. And in the movie world, scenes at the Admiral Twin were filmed for the 1980s motion picture The Outsiders. That was a movie starring C. Thomas Howell and Patrick Swayze, and it was based on an excellent young adult novel by S.E. Hinton. Really need to crack it open sometime when you're not looking at books about wizards that are going to school or death tournaments involving who knows what. Or some of those other young adult novels that are out there. This has actually been a really fun project, and I'm actually glad I had a chance to work on this. I mean, this thing was originally, looked like it had been in a fire. The innards were roasted. And now, I mean, it almost looks like it belongs as an accessory in a car show. Look at that. We are done. Look at this beauty. Hard to imagine this thing looked like it was left over from a bonfire just a short time ago. And here we have the final product. Man, this just looks absolutely stunning in the sunshine. Thank you so much for tuning in for another one of my drive-in speaker restoration videos. And if you like what you're seeing from these projects, obviously a like, a share, and a subscribe would be wonderful. But I'd also like you to take a look at some of the other drive-in speakers I've worked on, and you can see those on my personal Etsy site, which is chuckmillercreatives.etsy.com. And there you can see my drive-in speakers, my photography, and other projects that I've worked on. Once again, thank you so much for tuning in. Please come back for our next video, and I'll see you soon.